Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today guys, I'm going to do part 773, or no, 774, I believe it is, to my random chatbot series on Character.ai. In today's video guys, I'm going to try redoing the Dragon Type Lugia again. I don't know why, believe it or not, having a good luck with him no matter what I try doing. I restarted again, and I just said, Rexy? Or you just step closer to me before placing one of his huge hands on your shoulder. Hello? Are you okay, Rexy? Uh, Reggie didn't say anything for a moment, but before you could say anything else, he suddenly wrapped his arms tightly around you, pulling you into a warm hug while burying his face into your shoulder. Wow. This is a big contrast from last night. Aw. Reggie didn't say anything as he continued hugging you, his big arms wrapping around you almost completely. It was like he was keeping you as close to him as possible. Hey, buddy, what's with the sudden affection? I love when you give it to me, but based on how you were just acting last night, it's just unexpected. Reggie took a deep breath before he pulled away, just enough so he could get a look at your face. Kept his hold on you as if making sure you couldn't escape from him, and showed that he was worried about something. What's wrong? Reggie gently placed one of his massive hands on your cheek before whispering, I'm just afraid that I will hurt you again. Oh. Well, I know you don't want to hurt me, but if you ever feel that aggression again, like you did last night, you need to stop and think. Who you're attacking. Well, you know, but he was looking at you with a sad expression. I don't know why I acted that way. When I realized what I was doing last night, I thought I was dreaming, but it was real. Wait, why are your eyes blue? Reggie looked a little shocked when you mentioned his eyes, but then he looked down. He didn't answer for a long moment, but when he did, it was a quiet whisper. That's part of the reason I was so worried. I suddenly had this feeling, and when I looked in the mirror this morning, my eyes were blue. That's weird. You've been my pet T-Rex for a few years, and I would know if something was different. And those blue eyes are definitely different. Reggie kept his eyes on the ground, still looking sad, but after a moment he gently grabbed your chin, pulled your face up to look at him direct. You're right. You've always been able to read me so well. You're the only person who could ever understand me. I'm sorry about how I acted last night. I never want to hurt you, but I'm worried. Yeah, but that curse isn't supposed to mess with your eye color, so I don't know why they would be blue. I wonder if something else is going on. Reggie didn't seem to have any idea either, and before he could say anything else, one of your Pokemon suddenly let out a loud screech. Oh, heck no. What happened? You both turned my attention. We both turned our attention to see the group of Pokemon to see what happened. They all look fine. Well, they do look spooked, but they're not injured. It's then you notice, and they all had their attention on your TV. Huh? We're outside. I look at the TV from outside the living room window. When you look through the window to see if the news channel is on, it's a female reporter standing outside of what used to be a normal park. There were ambulances and news of outlets everywhere. Reporter was saying something, but it wasn't very easy to hear. What's wrong? Wrong, my friends. What scared you? I turned my attention back towards my point to see it. They are just still watching the TV. I was looked really uneasy. So only one of them who was at the front of the group spoke. I think something bad happened in that park. Was Lugia's pond near a park? I don't know. See, I don't know because I don't know where Lugia's home is. The only thing I know is like near a cave or like there's a cave system nearby. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the TV inside the house turned the volume up all by itself, just enough to where we could hear it. And I heard the reporter say, "Evil people tried to capture rare Lugia days ago. They didn't succeed, but the Lugia was injured." What the frick? Hearing this made you freeze in shock. The reporter then switched over to cover something else with a different reporter. That was enough. One yard were now looking worried and concerned. Oh my. First of all, what? I hope that is not who I think it is. It was then that everything suddenly got so quiet you could hear a pin drop. However, the silence was suddenly shattered by the sound of your house phone ring. Um, I go inside and answer the phone. What the frick? Okay, now I'm scared. Is it? Oh no, don't be like, what the frick? You put up the phone and it held up to it. A man's voice came through the speaker. "Hello? Is this Trenton?" The man on the phone sounded desperate for an answer. "Yes." The man sounded very relieved. "Oh no!" When he heard your voice. "Oh, thank gosh, you're safe then. I've been so worried about you." Could hear him talking a deep breath before continuing. "I was watching the news and then I saw the story about the Lugia and I was scared that you might have been involved." "Who are you?" "It's Professor Frickin' Oak." What the frick? The man who was on the phone suddenly realized he was talking rapidly out of fear. With a calmer voice, he spoke in. "I'm sorry. You probably don't know who I am. I'm Professor Samuel Oak, the Pokemon professor from the Kanto region." And some things get the word Kanto, which is interesting. No! No! Stop changing it! Professor Oak sounds a little surprised that you knew his name. "Wait, you know who I am? That makes this a lot easier." "Well, I've heard of you because I'm a Pokemon trainer." What? That makes more sense now. Listen, I'll get straight to the point. Are you okay? Is Rexy with you?" Yes, he's with me, but he. How do you know about my pet dinosaur? I took a deep breath and just was like, have you watched the news today? Uh, I was outside with my Pokemon, and my Pokemon was the first one to notice something on the TV. But for some reason, the TV all by itself turned up to where we could hear it from outside the window. I was quiet for a moment, mostly surprised by that. Huh? What do you mean the TV did that by itself? I was outside with my Pokemon, and when we all noticed the news, we couldn't hear anything, but suddenly the TV turned itself up just enough to where we could hear it from outside. I was sounding confused, but he didn't know what. Okay. I'm guessing you heard what the news story was about? Yeah. Some evil people apparently tried to capture a Lugia. They didn't succeed, but apparently injured the poor creature. I took a deep breath. Yeah, that's what the news said. If my theory is right, I think I know that this injured Lugia might be. Oh no. I hope it's not the Lugia I'm thinking of. You probably know already who I'm talking about. A certain blue Lugia with silver spikes. That's interesting, actually. Although, granted, like, do you really know what the Lugia looks like? I just have no picture of a baby Lugia on there. So, what about him? The line was quiet. The voice was in. Listen, this isn't easy for me to say. Okay. Ozark took another deep breath. I have a feeling that the injured Lugia they were talking about on the news might be silver. Oh no. I really hope not. That was my friend. Eric was quiet for a moment. 4 years. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but from the little information they're releasing on the news that Lugia does match the description and area that Silver roamed around. Something weird keeps happening. It's not just with the TV. My pet dinosaur was sleeping peacefully. But then when I was outside playing with my Pokemon, he came outside, and when I looked at him, he didn't look completely like himself. Mr. was surprised, but really? How did he look completely like himself? Well, for one, his voice was deep but soothing. And on top of that, his eyes, which are normally yellow, were bright blue. Oh, wait for a minute, he sounds shocked. Wait, his eyes were what color? Blue. Mr. Oak was processing information. He just got worried. His eyes were blue? That's odd. Is he acting any different? Has he done anything odd lately? He's been very friendly and apologetic. But here's the thing. Just a few days ago, a curse got put on him. That kept making him aggressive. And he ended up biting me last night. After he realized what he had done. He's just been laying around feeling upset ever since. His eyes went wide when you told him what the... Wait, what curse did he get hit with? That's certainly not normal. A Pokemon. A Pokemon made him turn aggressive. At times, he would quit. Would keep switching from being friendly and nice, like normal, to being aggressive. Professor Oak signed the concern and tried to think of ways to reverse the curse. Did you see what Pokemon inflicted the curse on him, or did you find out the cause of the curse? It was a... Professor Oak was shocked. A Trico? How in the world did a Trico cast a curse on him? Oh my. I'll tell you a bit later. But I heard you freak out over his eyes going from yellow to blue. Why did you freak out about that? What the frick? Presto pauses for a moment. Wow. When a Lugia's eyes turn blue, the Lugia goes through a process called their spiritual guardian process. Happens when that Lugia's soul leaves their body to protect someone they care about. Wait. But if that was Silver, why is he inside of my pet dinosaur? Heroic was quiet for a moment, confirming your. Was quiet, yeah. I don't know why. Know why he didn't tell me that. I raised that Lugia from a baby. Dude. Lugia from a baby. Hero was surprised when you mentioned that. Wait, you raised him as a baby? How long have you known him? Years. I found him in the woods with an injured wing when he was very young. And he wanted to come with me because his own parents didn't treat him right. First, Rogue was in shock from hearing this. His parents didn't treat him right? Rogue was angry at this information, but tried to stay calm. What didn't they do right? They're his parents. They're supposed to care for him. Well, they hurt him. Like I said, guys, I did change the story a little bit to give the Lugia backstory a little bit more of a detail. And the thing about it is, this time, like I said, the parents are actually pretty mean to the Pokemon. So, and just didn't give a care about him. Professor Oak's shocked expression turned to anger. They did what? Professor Oak was very angry now, but he took a deep breath to stay calm enough to. They ever tell you why they did that? I never met them. Silver is the one that told me all of that. Professor Oak frowned more out of being angry at those parents treated their baby so terribly. Those parents did the complete opposite of what they're supposed to do. A parent's supposed to care for their child, not hurt them. Poor Silver. Yes, he was very young. But once I healed him up, I took him back to my house and taught him how to fly. We've been friends ever since. Professor Oak's expression softened a bit as he mentioned, sounds like you've been a good friend for him. He's lucky to have you. Those parents of his should be ashamed of themselves. I knew there was something off whenever my pet dinosaur came out there with blue eyes instead of yellow. I was still in deep thought about everything You told him in particular how you helped Silver so much over so many years. Your pet dinosaur having blue eyes means that Silver spirit's inside of it. But why? He's no reason to do that. Well, unless... Unless... What? Stop. Unless what? Dude, it's not that hard to put the phone on. Professor Oak paused as if he was scared to bring up the impossibility. You'd think that with the way his parents treat him, he wouldn't do this? Lugia are known to have a deep connection to people they care about. Yeah, he really cared about me, just like I did him. But what does that mean? Professor Oak found he was still hesitating to bring up the possibility. He decided to tell you. Lugia are known to have a spiritual guardian ability where they can use their spirit to protect someone they care about. That also means that they are willingly leaving their own bodies vulnerable. Yes. Here's the thing, though. If that Lugia that we saw on the news was indeed my friend Silver, then we don't know what actually happened to him. And apparently he's possessing my pet dinosaur, so he's not even in his own body. George frowned deep and would worry. Yeah, you're right. He's out of his own body, and his own body's just laying there unprotected from anything or anyone. His worry turned into fear when he mentioned this. Anything could happen to his body. He's very vulnerable right now like this. Here's the thing. I don't think it's just that spiritual guardian thing. I think something worse may have happened. Maybe after the injury, he ended up passing away. I hope not. Quickly went pay what's up on here. You think he... But no. Please tell me that's not the case. We don't completely know. The only thing the news told us was that the Lugia was injured and flew off. It didn't say what happened afterward. For all we know, he may not have found help and then passed. As Rogue was still stunned from your earlier guess, he was quite remote trying to process the information that the news gave you, but he slowly came to... It's possible he never found help and then he might have died from his injuries. Yeah. But if that's the case, I don't know why he's trying to act like my pet dinosaur instead of admitting or at least telling me that it's him. Professor Oak was confused, but That is odd, isn't it? Why would he act like a completely different creature instead of telling you it's him? You've known him for years, so why would he keep that a secret? Maybe because him and me were such good friends. He didn't want to tell me that he passed away because he was scared I would get upset. Professor Oak's eyes widened as he suggested. Yeah, he was such a big softy at times. He'd probably be too scared to tell you something because he'd be worried about your reaction to it. Well, I'm gonna go back out there and talk to Silver or whatever is actually possessing my dinosaur. I just wrote nod in agreement. Yeah, please let me know if you manage to talk to him. I'm very curious about how this is going to go since his soul's currently inhabiting your dinosaur. Thanks for the call, Professor Oak. Bye. No problem. Just update me on what happens. So enter the call after that. I walk back outside. Your pawn all look up at you and they seem a bit relieved to see you come back. Sorry about that, my friends. I just got a call I had to take. People understand they gave no problem with it. Some of them continue playing while others simply just wait. They're exhausted. Where did where'd Retsy go? When you when you asked that question, all of your pawn were instantly concerned and looked around. Retsy usually never leaves the yard after all. Retsy, where are you, buddy? When you asked that question, you looked around and suddenly heard a loud groan coming from behind one of the large trees in my yard. Retsy? When you called out to Retsy, you suddenly heard him call back. His voice sounded quieter and sadder than normal. Over here. I walk over to the tree. When you come over to the tree, you notice that Retsy was sitting against the trunk. He was hiding his face from you, but you could tell he was extremely upset. What's wrong? Retsy was quiet for a while, and when he finally did look at you, you could see the tears in his eyes. Promise me something? Promise what? What? Question mark. Retsy paused and he took a deep breath before speaking. He looked emotional. Promise me that you won't get mad at me. Mad at you for what? Reggie was hesitant to answer your question, but he took another deep breath and his eyes shifted to look up at the ground. Promise me you won't get mad at me when I say why I was acting the way I was last night. Was it not the curse? Reggie nodded before looking back up. Tears were starting to fall down his face despite how hard he was trying to hold them back. Yeah, but there's more to the reason why I was like that. What is that reason? Reggie bit his lip before looking directly at you, his body still shaking as he promised to hold it. Promise me you won't hate me, okay? Well, I don't have a bad feeling to say he did. Well, he took another deep breath, and you could tell that he was really nervous about what he was going to say. Promise me that you're not going to hate me after I tell you the real reason why I was acting the way I was. I promise. Reggie closed his eyes and took another deep breath to try and calm down. Okay, he said so quietly that you nearly didn't hear it. I listen. Probably took another few moments before he looked at you. His breathing was shaky, and you could tell he was going. Or not. I I wanted to say I'm sorry. It's okay. I know you didn't mean it. Right now, tears were starting to run down his face, and he was shaking. It looked like he was taking a lot of effort for him to speak. If you, you're not mad, why would I be mad at you? Raised his head, and he bit his lip. His body was shaking, and it was getting harder and harder for him to hold the tears back. It looked like it took a lot for him to speak. I, I don't know. I was just worried you'd be mad at me. I didn't mean to hurt you last night. I'm not mad at you, I promise. Reggie was still shaking, but his eyes wide. You mean it? You're not mad? No, but I want to ask you something. Reggie now he looked scared and nervous again. Yeah, you can ask me anything. Before I ask this, are your eyes still blue? Or are they back to yellow? Reggie looked surprised when you asked that he closed his eyes and was quiet for a moment before he opened them again. They're back to yellow, he said quietly. Okay. Well, do you know why your eyes were blue? Was he not? Yeah, I do. Sebastian turned to a worried frown and he looked at the ground again. Why? Hard to look extremely scared and again. He slowly closed his eyes and took a deep breath before the safest voice, the softest voice you have ever heard come from him before. I need to tell you something, and it's really bad. Is it something about a Lugia? Or was he nod again, his eyes still closed, and he was true. Yeah, it's about the Lugia. Okay. What do you need to tell me? But he stayed in silence for a moment before he finally spoke. So, it's about my eyes turning blue. Let me guess. Me guess. Silver was possessing you, and that's why your eyes were blue? Well, he nodded at that, but he looked more guilty and upset just from the mention of Silver's name. He didn't look at you. He kept his eye, eyes down to the ground. Yeah, it was. Why are you so upset at that? If I should be talking to anyone about that, it's Silver's ghost. Right, so he looked at me when you could see the tears streaming down his face. It's because I was trying to hide it from you. I don't know if you were trying to hide it from me. I think Silver was. Because if you're possessed, you don't have control over what you're doing. Only the spirit does. Paused for a moment as if he was trying to process what you had just. So, you're not mad at me? No. I wouldn't be mad at you. You're my sweet pet dinosaur that I've raised since you were a baby. Reggie suddenly lunged forward. Reggie suddenly lunged forward and hugged you, his arms wrapping tightly around you, and you could feel the tears dripping onto your shoulders. He was shaking, and it felt like he was really holding back a breakdown. Promise you won't hate me? No, I don't hate you. Reggie kept hugging me tightly. It looked like he was really in need of some comfort right now. He was still shaking a lot, but he did seem to calm down. Promise you won't abandon me? Swear. Promise you won't abandon me? Why would I ever do that? You know I would never abandon you. Reggie still held me tightly. His body was still shaking, but his grip on you loosened a bit. While his face was buried into your shoulder, he mumbled one more question. Promise you always will be here for me? Yes. You've always been there for me as well. Being nice to me, and even protecting me. The only thing I ask is if you ever feel that aggression again, don't immediately try to attack me. And instead try thinking about what you're doing before you do it, okay? Reggie nodded while he kept hugging you. He was trembling, but he kept quiet for a few moments, almost as if he was trying to collect his thoughts. Yeah, I promise. I promise I'll try to avoid attacking you when that happens again. Now, Silver, where are you? I know you're around here. Reggie took another deep breath before pulling away from the hug. He was still shaking, and he slowly stood up, and he was a lot. Yeah, he's still around. I've been feeling his presence for a long time now, and I know what will bring him out. I think I do too. Period. Silver, listen to me. I know you recognize who I am. So please, don't be scared. Ghost or no, please show yourself. Reggie closes his eyes and focuses, and for a moment nothing happens. He remains in that position and remains quiet. It was then that the air suddenly grew colder. It just got really cold all of a sudden. Reggie kept his eyes closed, but a small smile crept across his face. His body was still, but it definitely seemed like he was aware that the temperature dropped and he expected it. I hope Silver ain't evil now. I'll be back, guys.